I hate people who beg for food, money, and clothes. I hate begging in general, and you can rightly assume that I don't give anything to charity. I despise those who keep begging for assistance, and I come from a place where one had to work for absolutely everything they had. It should be made illegal to beg, and those who do beg should be sent to prison. It just touches me the wrong way when someone begs me for whatever reason they need or want. I hate begging, and I despise beggars. Those that beg should be killed off. There should be no begging in the 21st century. In past eras, they imagined the 21st century to be a utopia of some sort, but this century has so far just been a disappointing era. I have this woman that keeps begging for money every single day, and it's really starting to irritate me. Every day she begs for money, and I say no. But my tone is getting angrier. She thinks that because she is a woman, it would bring her some more luck than if she were a man. All men and women must learn to stand on their own 2 feet, and it is important that struggle is felt everywhere. This woman always asks me for money when she sees me. Then a boy comes up to me and begs me for food and clothes. I have a little respect for the boy as he's asking for clothes and food instead of money itself, but those things still require money. I start to get angry at the little boy, and he keeps nagging me for certain items. This little boy thinks that because he's young, he should get something for it. I know how these beggars work, too. I'm no fool. I can see their begging network at play. It's disgusting. I would rather starve and die than ever be like them. Then that damn woman comes back to me, and this time she's bringing even more ammo for the begging fight. She has a baby in her arms, and she's begging for money with the baby in her arms. I was furious. I was furious at what she was trying to do, and I will not fall prey to her scheme. That baby is a weapon, and such shameless acts shouldn't be accepted in this society. Then the little boy comes to aid the baby-carrying woman. I knew they were working together, and I was disgusted. I truly was. I tell them to come with me into a room, and once I have them in there, I take out my pistol, and I shoot them dead. Now I've got to figure out what to tell the police about killing my own family. The police don't seem to have any problems with a man's own family begging them for money, food, and water. Disgusting. Have you watched that new series, Coincidences? What a stupid name. It was no coincidence that he resembled Ted Bundy, even if they portrayed it that way. He studied Bundy's behavior for the sole reason of replicating it. He was charmed by the idea of hunting people with pretended harmlessness. A coincidence means that 2 or more things, despite happening independently of each other, add up to something for someone. A coincidence was that all 3 of us happened to be called Cynthia. Nobody ever realized this because it was so exciting. The Cynthia killer made such delicious headlines. But in reality, he didn't even know our names before the police came asking questions. The directors of the show made up some sob story about his childhood love called Cynthia as a weak explanation for why he was so interested in us. But he only chose us because he thought he could get away with killing us. And he did. The evidence against him was extensive. He was the prime suspect, and later, the only one. The police spent years searching and interrogating, and everyone was certain it was him. But he never confessed, and our bodies were never found. Nobody could prove we were dead. So he walked out a free man. And now people are buying subscriptions to see coincidences, portraying the tragic story of a little boy who grew up to be accused of a triple murder just because he coincidentally resembled a famous psychopath. He's famous now, and I'm just the second Cynthia, a plot device for telling his story. The writers of that show made up some shadowy crook, the real killer who was never caught, so they could show artistic interpretations of what really happened to us Cynthias. I got 32 seconds of screen time when my actor was buried in Oakwood Creek, or in reality someone's backyard that played the part of Oakwood Creek in the show. Since the writers couldn't use any of the places the police had really investigated, they had to choose the most reasonable disposal site out of the ones that had never been searched. A place near where we lived, where nobody would find us. They just looked at a map, made some measurements, and pointed to a secluded little corner in Oakwood Creek. Yep, that's where I'd bury 3 bodies. And that happens to be the exact place where he really did bury us. That's coincidence for you. But instead of being awarded for their investigative journalism, the writers are handed Emmys, while I'm here with my bones bare, since everything I had to rot has already rotted away. My skeletal fingers coincidentally intertwined with those of third Cynthia, who was just dumped on top of me. We're right here in the ground where the internet's most popular series showed us to be, and still nobody has come for us. Instead, they're sending love letters to the man who hid us here. For the past year, I can't seem to stop thinking about Romans and the Roman Empire. The Romans have done so much in their time of superiority. They had conquered so much land and successfully placed their influence on so many religions and cultures. The Roman Empire have been living in my mind rent-free for a whole year. It has taken over my life, and I'm struggling to function properly. I mean, it's just kind of crazy how much the Roman Empire had done for the world, and now they're just gone. They only exist in history books and on TV channels. My girlfriend Stephanie really needs my attention. A couple of weeks back, when Stephanie managed to get my attention away from the Roman Empire for a bit, I wrote, "I love you, Stephanie," on the work table. We work at the same office. Then, ever since I did write that, every day somebody seems to be carrying on with it, and keeps writing, "I love you too, Stephanie," and more people seem to be joining in. Now the whole table is covered in "I love you too, Stephanie," and she's clearly kind of freaking out at this. She wants me to do something, but admittedly, I do get a little bit distracted every now and then, thinking about, well, you know who. Like when I meant to go to Human Resources and talk about whoever was writing "I love you too, Stephanie" on tables and now even walls, but I was distracted by the roads. I couldn't help but just observe the roads and a few construction sites that had been building them. It made me think about the Romans and their wonderful roadworks. I was also meant to have a private word with some coworkers who Stephanie and I thought might be behind this graffiti writing. I never got around to it as I was a little bit distracted by the rivers and ponds. It reminded me of the incredible Roman aqueducts they had built. I really wanted to be part of that empire. Then we found "We love you too, Stephanie" inside our cars and inside our homes. Stephanie was freaking out now, and she was too emotional to call the police. I had to do it, but once it was ringing, I kind of got distracted by the Romans' rules and infrastructure, laws of the day and whatnot. They truly were an amazing people, and I keep seeing the Empire and hearing the Roman Empire everywhere I go. I really need to force myself out of it and stop thinking about the greatness that they were. Then one day, I snapped out of my daydreaming. I found Stephanie stabbed time and time again. She had the words, "We love you too, Stephanie," all over her body. Dear God. Her death, it reminded me of the death of Julius Caesar, which led to the formation of the Roman Empire.